Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy George Michael Perez, aka G Mike. You already know what it is, baby. Back with another episode of Los Bandoleros Fantasy Football League, and this week we will be showing you the Week 14 results, which is the last week of the regular season for teams to get into playoffs and for other teams to get kicked out. And then the Week 15 matchups, which is the first week of the playoffs. Exciting stuff. Crazy outcomes that just happened, man. But before we get into it, follow me on my socials at George Mike Perez on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at GMikeMedia_. If you haven't heard, I'm doing a podcast on sports. It's available on all podcast platforms and YouTube under the G Perspective. So let's get into it. Let's see what's up with these past Week 14 results and these Week 15 matchups, baby. Jumping into the first matchup, it's myself. I put up 106.36 points going up against Ernie, 115.20 points. Going into Monday night, Ernie and I were tied at 105. He had Hunter Henry left to play, and I had Kyler Murray left to play. Kyler Murray gets injured in the first quarter, puts up 0.66 points, and I was up on Ernie 106 to 105. The whole time I'm praying for Hunter Henry not to do anything, and right before the second half, he catches a ball for 26 yards and solidifies the win for Ernie. I doubted myself the whole week with putting in Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, and that was my biggest mistake. He had 33.42 bench points on the damn bench. 368 passing yards, 3 passing TDs, and 1 rush TDs. The man went off against Tennessee. Knew it was going to be a good matchup for him, but he was going into this game with a leg injury, so I didn't want to play him due to the injury of his leg. And next thing you know, I have him starting, and he does not play well, and that would be bad. But obviously, it was the wrong move, putting Kyler Murray in. Freak accident, him messing up his ACL. Ernie's team just went off. Jamar Chase, Miles Sanders both put up 28.50 points. Those two is what really gave the win for Ernie. And then Jared Goff putting 26.10 points, 330 passing yards, 3 pass TDs, 9 rush yards. No matter what was going to go down, actually, obviously, if I would have put Trevor Lawrence in, I would have won. But bad mistake by me. My bench put up 55.72 bench points. Ernie's 30.30 bench points. Ernie solidifies a spot in the playoffs, and he knocks me out of the playoffs, and I am now fighting for the battle of the dresses. Next matchup, we got Jose putting up 92.68 fantasy points, going up against Jawan, 109.18 fantasy points. Jawan wins this one. Looking at his squad, Jalen Hurts doing what he does all season long, MVP caliber player. And then Chuba Hubba, 18.90 fantasy points, 74 rush yards, 1 rush TD, 3 receptions. So he had himself a game. Everyone else kind of shitted the bed and did a little average for Jawan, but gave him enough points to beat Jose. Jose's team, Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, always doing what they do. Stephon Diggs having a bad game, only 37 reception yards, 3 receptions. And then everyone else had an average game for Jose. Looking at the benches, no matter what Jose did, he was going to lose this week. And if Jawan would have replaced other people with his starters, he probably would have lost this week. Jawan had 19.20 fantasy points on the bench, while Jose had 17.66 fantasy points on the bench. Jawan wins this week, but no matter what, he will not make playoffs. He will be in the battle of the dresses. And Jose loses this week, but he makes the 6th spot of the playoffs because of how much fantasy points that he has. He has the most fantasy points out of anybody in this league, so he gets the 6th spot and he solidifies a playoff spot for himself. All right, we got the reigning champ, Steve, putting up 123.68 fantasy points, going up against Adonis, aka Crypto Wolf, 100.16 fantasy points. Steve wins this one with Mahomes doing what Mahomes does, Chris Godwin playing good as well, but Jerry Jeudy, 3 reception TDs, 8 receptions, 73 reception yards. Steve picked him off the waiver wire because of how bad of a season Jerry Jeudy, Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson have been having. But this week came out and showed out. And then DJ Chark, 94 reception yards, 6 reception, 1 reception TD. Another waiver pickup for Steve. So great coaching by Steve this week. Adonis's team, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and Mike Williams did their thing, but the running backs for Adonis did not do as well. So it makes him get the L this week. Just looking at the benches, no matter what Adonis did, he was going to lose this week. And then looking at Steve's team, if Steve would have put in Homer or Corey Davis in for any other player, he probably would have lost this week. His bench put up 23.90 points, while Adonis has put up 24.46 points. Adonis loses this week, but he solidifies a bye week in the playoffs. And then Steve, winning this week, he solidifies his own spot in the playoffs with the 4th seed. All right, now we got Fabi, aka the Legend, putting up 90.72 fantasy points against Gio, aka the Rookie, 74.66 fantasy points. Looking at Fabi's team is Tony Pollard, who really pulled out the outcome for this one. 1 rush TD, 1 reception TD, 42 rush yards. And then Njoku, his tight end, 7 receptions, 1 reception TD, 59 reception yards. Looking at Gio's team, Joe Burrow had a decent game. Amar St. Brown had a decent game. And then his running backs had decent games. But then he got 2 donuts, actually 3 donuts from Noel Fant, T. Higgins, and Tennessee's defense. So that's what really hurt Gio in this week. Looking at his bench, no matter what, he was going to lose. And then Fabi's bench, if he would have put in McKinnon at running back, if he would have put in Ingram at tight end, he would have made his points even larger. And that would have been a crazy outcome for him because he needed more points to actually get in the playoffs. 74.20 bench points for Fabi, 0 bench points for Gio, aka the Rookie. Fabi wins, but still does not make the playoffs because of his fantasy points. He will be in the battle of the dresses, and Gio, 11th place, will also be in the battle of the dresses. Now we got George, aka Losing Hurts, and sorry buddy, but losing is still hurting. 104.84 fantasy points, going up against Kev, 117.28 points. Looking at Kevin's team, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, 3 weeks in a row doing work, and we know that Allen is going to do work when he is healthy. 12 receptions, 92 reception yards. If he would have got a touchdown, that probably would have been 28 points right there. James Conner had a big Monday night game, 23.40 fantasy points, 85 rush yards, 1 rush TD, and 6 receptions. And then other people had decent games, and some kind of shitted the bed a little bit. But looking at Georgia's team, Deshaun Watson had a better week than last week. Devontae Adams was kind of quiet. Christian McCaffrey doing what he does, 119 rush yards, 1 rush TD, and 1 reception TD. And Deontay Johnson finally having a positive week, 82 reception yards, 6 receptions. Looking at the bench, though, no matter what George did, he was going to take the L this week. And then if Kevin would have put in Zay Jones with 21.70 fantasy points, or the running back for New York, Knight, 15.70 fantasy points, it would have put him up even larger, and it would have gave him even more fantasy points on what he needed to try to get a playoff spot. 45.90 bench points for Kevin, 2.48 bench points for George. Both will be in the battle of the dresses. None of them will make playoffs. It's going to be tough going into the battle of the dresses. There's a lot of good teams in the loser bracket, so it's pretty crazy. All right, we got Tricky here solidifying the first seed of the playoffs, 129.40 points, going up against Johnny, aka Johnny Say Word, 101.40 points. Looking at Tricky's team, he put in Kirk Cousins because Lamar Jackson is out and came through in the clutch. 25 fantasy points, 425 pass yards, 2 pass TDs. AJ Brown always doing what he does this year. 70 reception yards, 1 reception TD, 4 reception. And then his running backs, Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler, doing what they do from week to week. And then the surprise, well, not really surprised because he's been doing actually well in the past 5 weeks. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, 114 reception yards, 8 receptions, doing work. Looking at Johnny's team, Tua only put up 12.60 points, kind of hurt him. Justin Jefferson always being a dog out there. And then Christian Kirk and Nick Chubb is the surprise one. 34 rush yards, 3 receptions, 20 reception yards. Had under 10 points. You don't really see that from Nick Chubb a lot. Everyone else kind of had a decent game or kind of shitted the bed for Johnny. Looking at his bench, if he would have put Juju Smith in for Christian Kirk, it would have made it even tighter, but still probably would have lost. And then looking at Tricky's team, no matter what, actually, if Tricky would have substituted other players on his bench for his starters, he probably would have lost, but great coaching by him this week. 41.60 bench points for Trig, 37.30 bench points for Johnny. Both of them will be in the playoffs. Tricky gets the bye week, and Johnny will have to face Jose for the first week of the playoffs. All right, so for the championship bracket, it's been a long-ass year. It's kind of saddening that I'm not in the playoffs, but it is what it is. Got to make these videos for these guys. Can't get off loose. Can't get off the chain on these videos just because I lost. Gotta give my dogs some props here. So Jose will be going up against Steve. Wow, I thought it was gonna be Johnny, but it's Steve. Jose will be going up against Steve, aka the reigning champ. Steve right now is projected to win that one. Adonis will have the bye week. Tricky will have the bye week, and then Ernie will be going up against Johnny, aka Johnny Say Word. Johnny is projected to win that one. Looking at the losers bracket, I'm going up against George, aka Losing Hurts, and as of now, he's projected to win. Fabi will get the bye. Jawan will get the bye. Gio, aka the rookie, will be going up against Kev, his cousin, and Kev has the upper hand here. He's projected to win. The two losers between George and I and Gio and Kev will be playing for the battle of the dresses. So this week is important for myself, George, Gio, and Kev to make sure they solidify a win to go up against Bobby or Juwan, or if not, if they lose, they will be in the battle of the dresses. Ah, man. Tough, man. Unfortunately, your boy will not be in the playoffs, and I will be fighting for the battle of the dresses. And if you do not know what that is, that means the last place, 12th place person has to wear a dress and a sign that says, "I suck at fantasy football," at Wynwood, one of the corners. It'll be hilarious. It'll be funny for a few hours. Hopefully you guys pass by, take some pictures and stuff, but it's going to be heartbreaking if your boy has to do that. But, you know, it is what it is. Crazy events. We got 4 teams in the playoffs that have never had a ring in this league, so that's going to be tough for them. We got the reigning champ back in the playoffs, but he has a chance to go back-to-back, which will be the second person in the league to do that. And then we got another champion, the first year of our fantasy league, which was Adonis, became a champion. So it's going to be exciting to watch, exciting to document. It's going to be tough for me. I'm not going to be in the playoffs, so doing these videos is going to be heartbreaking, but it is what it is. We'll keep you tuned. Hopefully you guys keep watching, subscribe, hit the like button, talk yo shit, and don't forget to follow me on my socials at George Mike Perez on Twitter, TikTok, IG, and YouTube, IG Mike Media _. And then if you haven't heard, I'm doing a podcast on sports under the G Perspective on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Thank you guys, and hopefully you guys come back and watch more.